I am delighted to welcome our next speaker for today to the floor, Nwachinemere, Nwachinemere, Emeka, who will be sharing his experiences on how AI data science could help Africa build resilient food systems. Mr. Emeka is a global driven innovation and technology enthusiast, passionate about the transformation of Africa into the global food hub. He's also a fellow of the Social Innovation Program, a recipient of the Total Startupper Awards for Innovation and the Nigerian Innovation Awards, both in 2016. And he's also a multi-award winning serial entrepreneur who was part of the 2015 Tony Elumelu Entrepreneurship Program alumni program, and was named part of the Africa Prize shortlist of the Royal Academy of Engineering in 2018. Besides all that, he's the CEO of Kitovu Technology Company and a writer and public speaker with interest in governance and advocacy. Nwachinemere, it's a distinct pleasure to have you with us today. The floor is yours.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. So let me start by posing sort of a rhetorical question. What does AI and data science have to do with babies? Because today I'm talking about how AI and data science can help Africa build resilient food systems. And in starting, I like to say that a few years ago, I became a proud dad. That's my daughter you are looking at. And then there's something peculiar that happened. You know, I prepared for her arrival. I bought everything I needed to buy. I spent time reading, getting information on how to be the best dad she could ever have. But then, despite my preparation, when she finally came, it seemed she spent a good portion of the time crying. And I was at a loss. I had no idea what to do. I had no idea what she needed. I only could figure out by trial and error what it is that she wanted part time. Was she wet? Was she hungry? Was she running temperature? It was just trial and error. Now, in a sense, agriculture, especially in Africa, is like me running after my kid, trying to find out what she wanted part time because I couldn't understand the language that she was speaking. And in part, that is sort of like the characteristics of agriculture in sub-Saharan Africa, where you know, productivity is quite very, very low. Now, it is not because there is anything peculiar about sub-Saharan Africa. It's just the fact that the food system needs to be reviewed. And the way to do that is to listen to what the food system is saying. Like my daughter, she was saying something, I was just not hearing it. And that is like an analogy for us to consider and look at food system. But first question we need to ask is, why? What's the need? The truth is, in a few years' time, because 2050, it's not that far away any longer, we'll need to produce about 60% more food to be able to feed a projected 9.7 billion people. Now, with 17% of Arab in Africa, it means that it's very, very important that productivity in Africa is improved. Because if it's not done, then the fate of the entire world hangs in the balance. And so, because of this challenge, and considering increasing soil degradation in the midst of climate change, if we do not find alternatives to optimize the food system, then we would be facing one challenge that will be much more greater than what most people might consider what the world's greatest challenge is today. Because I know if we ask a lot of people, they will say maybe it's probably a mutual assured destruction from nuclear weapons. But I assure you, there is no greater threat than that posed by the possibility that come 2050 will not have enough food to feed the population. Now, the way we can solve this problem is by applying data science and artificial intelligence across the food system. But when we say food system, we're talking about all the actors, all the interactions, everything that happens across the entire food value chain, from inputs to the supply chain, production, livestock, how the food eventually gets to the processor, how it gets, retailed, how the consumer finally gets it. All those things are producing vast amounts of data. Every interaction is producing vast amounts of data. And in a way, because they are producing those sets of data, they are talking to us. So for instance, a farmer in one corner of Nigeria grows some crops. There is information out there about what quantity he's growing, about what variety it is that he's growing, about what time it is going to be ready for harvest. Now, the aggregation of all this information, this data, and analyzing it will help somebody in the logistics space to plan, to know what sort of investments to put in there. It will also help for proper planning as to what kind of storage infrastructure needs to be in place. Now, if just this part is tackled, in Nigeria alone, about 40 to 60% of post-harvest losses that happen annually could be curtailed by just understanding what farmers at each point is growing, the timing. Now, if we understand all the components that makes up the food system, it would help us to understand how to begin to apply this to them. And in a way, this is at the heart of what we are already doing at Kitovu Technology Company. Now, as of today, some of these are things we are doing, but I want to point out areas that, data science and artificial intelligence can be applied to transform Africa's food system. First is in the area of fertilizer recommendation. Now, most times in Africa, a farmer, if he chooses to use fertilizer, just gets any fertilizer. He doesn't do soil test. He may not even be able to afford it. So he gets fertilizer and he applies it to his farm. He has no idea what the need is. For all intents and purposes, the soil may be saying, I need nitrogen, and the farmer is giving it phosphorus. So there is a complete mismatch between what the farmer is applying to the land and what the nutrient requirement is. Now at Kitovu, one of the things that we've been able to do is to build a system that collects different kinds of data, soil, field, and market demand data, which is linked to remote sensing API, and then analyze those information and then tell the farmer not just the type of fertilizer to use, but the quantity to use and the variable application rates. The implication is that there is optimization in the production of the farmer. And as a result, farmers who work with us have been able to increase their yields by over 30%. Now, if you consider that as of today, crop yields in sub-Saharan Africa is about 30% of global yield averages, you will see the impact that this stands to make. Now, another area where this can be applied is in the area of plant health analysis, which is, essentially carrying out crop health audits, trying to understand in real time what a crop performance is, identifying areas where there is urgent need for intervention in terms of how well the crops are doing. Now, at present in Africa, there is rapid rural-urban migration. So a lot of the large amount of labor available to farming in the past is no longer that available. So there is urgent need to leverage AI in providing e-extension so that farmers can easily understand what to do on their farm. If they have issues around weed control, the right pesticide, the right herbicides, they can get information in real time, what is happening on their farm. 2 years ago, farmers had a lot of their grains ravaged by fall armyworm, and it's been a recurrent, occurrence. But what if we could build an integrated disease early warning system that can easily alert, farmers in different areas when there is a breakout of diseases in real time, and what to do and how to manage it? This will go a long way to increase productivity for the farmer. There is also the areas around assets and supply chain management. Now, in Africa today, there is a lot of gap between the needs in terms of farm and post-harvest infrastructure. But there is not enough data, there is not enough information out there that says these are the areas where someone can easily invest, and these are the expected returns on assets deployed. But by applying data science and artificial intelligence, a careful mapping of the infrastructure deficits can be done in such a way that it will give insights, it will give people, would-be investors, areas where they could easily invest in, to optimize their investments. The same goes for, all the interactions around the supply chain. Now, the final area I want to touch on is in the area of smart irrigation and fertigation. Now, I mentioned how, farming in Africa is hugely affected by climate change and increasing soil degradation. Now, it is one area that is needed very, very urgently, but it's not going to be something that is just done, the traditional ways, considering that water is a huge resource that needs to be managed properly. Smart irrigation means that there will be investment in data, there will be investment in getting information using IoT technology, so that in real time, the moisture levels in the soil can be monitored and moisture can be gotten to the plant just in time. So it will cut down wastage. The same way, nutrients can be applied to the soil on a needs basis. And these are some areas, it's by no means exhaustive, but these are very, very crucial areas where this can be applied to optimize productivity in sub-Saharan Africa. Now, it's not enough to say we need to put these things in place. In itself, talking about the need to implement AI and data science technology in food systems, it's not enough without taking cognizance of some of the challenges. Chief of that is the inadequate data available. It's going to really take a lot to collect and map data across Africa, because it's the foundation upon which any data science or AI application is going to work optimally. The level of reliability of the information an AI system gives you is based on the correctness and the adequacy of the data you have. And that is one area where there are huge challenges. And then there's the issue of last mile connectivity. A lot of the productive areas, right, in sub-Saharan Africa do not really have that last mile connectivity. And so it's still a huge challenge. And of course, you cannot do these things in isolation. There has to be willingness on the part of the different players in the ecosystem. You know, they need to buy in if this would work. And finally, the needed talent. A lot of companies are doing a lot around talent development, but a lot more still needs to be done if, you know, the necessary structures, the necessary foundations needed to make this work would be put in place. Now, particularly on Nigeria, as of today, Nigeria has about 81 million of arable lands, but only 41% of it is cultivated today. Now, it's a huge incentive, not just for agriculture, but for sustainable agriculture that leverages data science and AI. 60% of our population is under 35 years. Now, this is a population that is a bit conversant with technology, which means that the population that can easily learn and know how to leverage such systems is there. Of course, we have over 67% urban population, and it's growing, which also means that along the value chain, especially at the demand side, the consumer side of things, there will be huge opportunity for such a system. Not to mention that we have a nascent technology center with the rise and proliferation of different startups that is leading to the development of talent. And all this will provide the opportunity to leverage, you know, data to mobilize finance, infrastructure, and markets. When we put all these things in place, we will be able to help build a resilient food system for Africa. One where wastage is cut down, where productivity is optimal, and where smallholder farmers would no longer be, you know, the bulk of people who are financially excluded. And that will guarantee a food future for Africa that helps the world produce enough food for themselves. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much for that, Nwachinemere. We're so happy that we were able to have you come on board and provide a very strong social innovation and social impact angle to this session. So very well said, and thank you very much.